Welcome to Hustle and Healing, the Real Talk podcast on pregnancy, postpartum, and motherhood. I'm your host, Jessica Lauser, here for the raw stories, honest laughs, and everything in between. Let's dive in. Rob had this really great idea of getting bins for under the table and
throwing everything in the bins.
Which sounds like a great idea, but if, like, for women, we know if we have a bigger purse.
You put that. I was just about to say that. All of a sudden, you're like, "Oh, look at that space I have in there. Let me put something else."
So in theory, I liked where his head was at because instead of just having stuff shoved around the room, we had designated bins. But visually, I was like, "This is awful." And then for anyone who has tiles, they're like little magnetic tiles. That's like a big thing right now with kids, and they can build like the new Lego.
Are they colored?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I remember.
Well,
and they snap because they snapped.
Yeah. And so Christmas, everyone gave us those, and so we had like 200, and he would just dump them out in the living room.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I have to get rid of stuff. So they have homes in their rooms, and then like this and I work from home, so like I need like a zen.
Absolutely.
So between like the living room, I like sit here in the living room, or I'll go in the kitchen, and then I like go back and forth. But all right, well, we'll dive in. So everyone, welcome to the Hustle and Healing podcast. Today we have Adrienne Phelps, and mom of 2 twins.
Yes.
Identical.
No, so they're a boy and a girl.
Yes. Oh gosh. You would think that I would know, because I also just had another twin episode that came on, but they are much, much younger.
Yeah. So boy and a girl, they're 17. They'll be 18 in June. So they're seniors, and we've just gone through the whole college, the tours, the application, deciding, and now we're ready to put down deposits on housing and move forward. So it's really exciting. They're both, I know they're a little nervous about it, but that's totally natural. It's a huge transition. You're going from a home with your kid home to then being on your own. And but it's so exciting. I'm excited to see who they're going to be as adults, where they're going to go.
Do you think the transition is harder for them or for you?
Well, so because I had twins, it's kind of like someone who has an only child. I knew that I would be an empty nester. I would have that line of them gone at the same time versus what you have. Like you have, triple leave, and then a couple years later, then, no. But for me, I'm like, okay, so every stage that I would leave, I would be done. Kindergarten, done. So I would try to enjoy it as much as possible. So in my mind, I always knew that when they were 18, that I was going to have this huge void of them being gone. So I've been trying to prepare myself for that. So I've prepared a lot for it.
I haven't thought about it like that, but you're right, because I'm doing that with Josie, and I'm like, oh, this is the last, because I'm pretty sure this is the last. Yeah. And so we're like soaking it in, but you had to soak it in double.
Yeah.
So you said you prepared. How are you prepared? Well, like, how are you really preparing?
So I knew that I needed to find something else for me to do that was beyond having kids home every day. And I've always tried finding some type of something outside the home that I enjoyed doing, but still was part-time, that I could still be there for them. Because for me, that was my full-time job. Mm-hmm. And so, I've dabbled in everything from real estate, development work, sales, like all kinds of different stuff for the past 18 years. And now I'm a life coach. So that really just totally transitions. Everything that I've learned, I just want to share with everybody else and help them with whatever they're struggling with. And so I guess I knew that. I think I've been preparing it in my heart, knowing, okay, this is what's going to happen. And I've just decided that I'm open to whatever the universe brings me. So if that's, I remember telling a friend, I said, I feel like you do all these things. You go to school. Okay, I'm going to go to school. I know I have to go to college. Okay, great. I know that I want to get married and have kids. So you kind of know, like, the first half of your life is already kind of written out. Like the guidelines are already written out. But then after your kids are gone, there's this huge blank page of, oh, well, what's next? Because it's totally up to you. And I just kept thinking about it as this blank page. And at first it was scary and it made me really depressed and sad. But then I was like, wait, it's a blank page. I get to write it. I can really start focusing on me. So I've become open to that, and I've invited it into my life, and I'm interested in traveling and hiking, and I've never been camping in my life, and I want.
Really?
So this year there's two things I'm going to do. I want to learn how to make a poached egg and how to camp.
So are we talking true camping? Like you want a tent on the ground?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because we went glamping on the Eastern Shore in Chincoteague this past summer.
How was it?
It was good, but we were in like a safari tent, and that, looked a little different than like
just running water.
We did not have running water in our tent, but it was lifted. There was queen size beds in there. There was a dresser.
Yeah.
But I have been, because I used to live on like a river, and we would go down and pitch up our tent, and I think my brother cooked up a frog once. So I don't know how down and dirty, but it's fun. Yeah.
Well, I say that now until I do it, and then I'm like, I really could use a clean shower.
But you could always pack up and leave at any point that you're like, this isn't working.
Anyway, so I want to do that this year. So it's stuff like that. It's just things that you put in the back burner that, because you've been busy with career, house, all that stuff that comes with kids. And then you can realize, wow, I really want to learn more about this. I want to see this part of the world. I want to know this other group of people and learn something new. I'm just a student of learning. I learn, and I'm curious. I think curiosity is really important.
Yeah,
for people.
So when you look at kind of that progression of like where your kids were and where they are now, I was actually thinking about our interview today, last night, during bedtime routine. It was funny. Trip kept, I want mommy, I want daddy. And so we're in and out. And like that bedtime was so, it's so exhausting. But then I was laying there with him, and I was like, you know what? I have my interview tomorrow with Adrienne, and her kids are 18, and they don't ask to cuddle with her anymore. And so it kind of humbled me in that moment to be like, it's not so bad, because they're not always going to ask for me to cuddle anymore.
They won't. But I mean, disrupting your sleep is really hard, though. And the bedtime, not having it is frustrating. So that's hard for you. That's hard on you. It's hard. It's stressful, blah, blah, blah.
You have to find that peace, though. You know what I mean? You have to rewire your mindset to in that moment, because I don't know when
it's going to stop.
It's going to stop. So then if we can do that. So I'm thinking about you. I'm laying in bed with my son last night, trying to get him to go to bed. And I was wondering, when, there's these milestones.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about, from play dates to then they want to be their own full adult.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like there was a moment you can recognize where it was well, my kids are ready to kind of enter into the world?
I wouldn't say so. We used to read them bedtime stories, right? We did that every night. And I remember saying to my husband, or he said to me, I don't know when this is going to end. And then we didn't know when it was going to end, and it just happened. And then we're like, oh, I guess we don't do that anymore. It evolved.
Mm-hmm.
And we were okay about that. There are things that the middle school years were pretty rough for my kids. I think they're pretty rough for a lot of kids. And I felt like it wasn't till the kids were maybe juniors again, where they maybe would hug me again or say something sweet. And I was like, oh, there you are. You came back to me. Oh,
you do love me.
I know. You're not such a little jerk. Yeah. So that happens. And now it's all bittersweet, because they're excited about college, and they're like, oh, they're going to miss, of course, being at home and so forth. But, I don't know. I think those little moments, I love that you did that you took a moment and were mindful of what was happening then and tried to enjoy it. Because that's all we can do. That's all anybody can do about anything in any situation, is to come back to present moment. You smell their little heads or squish their arms. And I miss that. I miss them when they're little, having those little squishy bodies. And their little, I love looking at pictures of my kids and seeing their little pudgy hands, or even their baby teeth.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love their little smiles with their baby teeth.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just goes. But then you're on to the next thing. Then it's then that consumes you. So there's not a lot of time to be kind of weepy over it, because you're just then dealing with whatever the next thing.
Well, and you have 18 years to reflect back and
Yeah.
Right? Like, it could be really sad or really happy, but I think it could be a mix to say like, well, like I really miss those things, but you're also really looking forward to what the future holds.
Absolutely.
Because they have this exciting piece. And I think I've interviewed a lot of moms and we've talked about our emotions and how our emotions are like, oh, you know, the hormones, but you got to handle and kind of work through teenage emotions.
Mm-hmm.
How was that for you?
Well, and a boy and a girl emotions. And it was hard. I think the teenage years with girls, it's very hard with their hormones and they don't know what to do with it. So I had to teach my daughter how to track her cycles so she would understand about, oh, I'm feeling more anxious and stressed and her emotions are fluctuating. So then she's like, oh, wait, where am I in my cycle? And then that makes sense. I know in a couple of days, I'm going to feel better. Something that we don't talk about that I would notice with my son is that boys, because when they have their growth spurts and they have testosterone shooting through them, they may go into these kind of rage moments. And I don't mean like rage, like, well, actually I do. I mean, I remember my son saying that, oh, I can just be sitting in English class and I had this urge to just want to stand up and like punch a wall. Like there's just like this, like that energy comes up and I realize and I'm like, oh, that's just a growth hormone happening to you. So it's something that we don't talk about. Anybody ever, and then it doesn't teach the boys how to then recognize those emotions and then that will pass and to maybe just take some deep breaths, settle down. I don't know, and then when he can, you go lift some weights, you go for a run, anything to get to ease that, all of that, anger.
Did you see this a lot in middle school or high school? Kind of what age,
So with girls, it's middle school. Because they all, girls always mature faster reproduction wise. And then for boys, I would think, boys, they say that boys are different. Like they could be middle school, high school, but in my experience, it was more high school, freshman and sophomore year.
So did you find that your method was communication? Like, were you pretty open with trying to, as you were trying to learn them, like what were your methods to like helping them through those hormones?
So I like to think that I laid the groundwork from when they were real little, that every time they'd come home from school, preschool or something, I would ask them questions about their day. Who did you sit with at lunch? Who did you play with? What games did you play with? And that would help the dialogue versus just saying like, how was school today? And you might get the good, bad, so I would ask them a specific question. What was funny? Something funny the teacher said. What was something funny that happened? What, did you feel sad today? Like anything to get them to talk about anything else. So because of that, my kids probably at some point, I'm sure they hated it, but I've always asked them questions and it would help with communication. So when that time came that I needed to teach them about all those things, the lines of communication were already open. However, this is something else that I think, and I'm sure you've already recognized it too, that there's two different kids. So you have to parent every kid differently. Mm-hmm. So things that I tried with my son to help him with whatever, I couldn't use that same strategy with my daughter because she has a different need and would need to be helped in a different manner. Mm-hmm. And it's hard as parents because we're so busy with jobs, careers, like, we've talked about, we need to stay healthy with ourselves, working out, blah, blah, blah. And we're going at the speed of light. So it's hard to say, oh my gosh, no, I have to handle something differently. And I made a ton of mistakes,
as we all do. But like even pausing for a second and kind of like, the situation that you had was unique. And, I'm working with my son who is almost 4 and you think it's like, oh, here's how they are when they're this age. But not only are you working through those developmental stages, now you're trying to do it with them at the same age, but then you have your boy and your girl and you're saying the techniques are different. So you're
Yes.
you're saying, because in my experience, I am saying, well, this worked, but then now you have to do it on like 2 at the same time.
Yeah. So just think about me trying to teach them to drive at the same time. So both kids, again, one behind the wheel feels more comfortable, another one doesn't. This one is this. Yes. When they first hit the curb, you just want to you grab on into the seat like, oh my God, no.
Yeah. I'm not looking forward to that.
No, it was terrible. But then when it happens, that's the beginning of it. I remember I said to a friend, it's the first step in their progression to being adults, because they're out on their own. They're out in a car on their own with their friends. They're having conversations, because otherwise I'm driving them around and I hear the conversation, but now it's all, I don't hear it. They're all on their own.
Do you miss that?
Well, I definitely do not miss being an Uber driver for my kids, but I miss having those conversations. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So now we just made a point. We make a point, and when they come home, we talk then. And I knew that was going to happen. I knew that chatty time we would have after school or whatever, after ballet, dance, whatever, would be gone, and we'd have to make up for it in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think those questions are really important. And the other day I get in a routine because it's like, go, go, go. And so Trip will come home and I'll say, hey, how are you? How was your day? Mm-hmm. I don't know. What'd you do today? I don't know. And so then yesterday, I actually, just yesterday, switched up my conversation. And I said, hey, Trip, did you do something new today? He goes, I don't know. I said, Trip, did you feel safe today?
Interesting.
And he looked at me like I had a third eyeball on my head. He was like, yes. Mm-hmm. And it was in that moment that was really like, he was processing that question and was like, this is a new question. And I keep asking the same question. So he keeps giving me the same answer. I asked a different question and he stopped and really processed that. So that was a really neat moment for me.
So why did you do that? What prompted you to do that?
Social media.
Oh,
I watched, honestly, it was like this sad video of like sexual abuse that was going on, right? Because social media, you watch 2 seconds of something.
Yeah.
Big topic of like sleepovers is pretty big right now. Like, you let your kids sleep over at people's houses or not.
Yeah.
And so one of the like words that, or one of the questions that a mom was asking, when they came home from anything, whether it was school, whether it was a hangout at a friend's house, was, she kind of incorporated that question, was like, hey, did you feel safe where you were?
Yeah.
And I just had never thought to like incorporate that. So,
but do you think he knows what that means to be safe?
I don't know. I can't say for certain that he like 100% knows.
Comprehend. Yeah.
So it would be interesting to see how like that process is. Mm-hmm. But he is a really smart kid. When I ask him something, like for the most part, he answers in a way that makes me think he understands the question. So yeah, I don't know how like I can trial and error that to be like, did you, you know what I mean? How would I get the opposite answer? Like if he said, no, I didn't feel safe, then I probably would do a little deep diving of like, what happened that made you
feel yeah. Did someone say something? Did someone touch you in a way?
Right. So yeah, I mean, so going back to your questions, like in that communication from the beginning, I think is so important to have those conversations because, again, we talk like about we need to communicate, but then we don't practice it. So being able to show them this is how you communicate those things, because again, they're going to continue having those emotions and going through the processes of everything. So now that your kid, you kind of have experienced kind of transitioning into high school, they're driving, so right now you're at like they've been accepted. You guys are still trying to figure out like how did that whole process of even getting into college happen, for you, like figuring out what are their next steps? Was college always the next step, or was it maybe they would explore something else, take a year off?
Well, no, I mean, I wasn't going to nix any of that, but I felt that both of the kids enjoyed school enough and could handle it, that was their path instead of doing something else. I really try to pay attention to, it's really funny. I think that I did anyway. I felt what was lacking in my childhood, I was damn sure it wasn't going to be lacking in my kids' childhood. However, in doing so, like everything, Newton's law, everything has an equal and opposite reaction. So I'm sure that me doing X, Y, and Z to fix whatever was lacking in my childhood, then, somehow I ruined it for my kids.
So what,
Okay, that's all right.
I mean, what were some of those things that you were intentional on that you wanted your kids to have?
I paid attention to what they were interested in, what they would talk about, any activities, what they did well in school that came easy to them, how their brains worked. My kids are not STEM kids at all. Like but they thrive. My son thrives in foreign language, both of them, in writing and all that kind of, all the humanities side, not any of the maths. So I knew that. So then as they would go through choosing classes to take through high school, your AP classes, honors classes, what they could thrive at. Now, of course, if you're interested in something, anything, anybody, did you ever read that book? Oh my gosh, Grit by Angie Duckworth.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I remember her saying that if you take somebody who's say tennis, if you take somebody who's totally talented at tennis, genetics, blah, 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 their father plays as a phenomenal tennis player, blah, 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 and then you put them on a team, and then you take a kid who just loves tennis, doesn't have this natural ability, but practices, and puts on all this effort. That individual will go further and higher and do better than the one has the talent because they don't have to work as hard.
Mm-hmm.
So the point is is it talent or effort? And it really comes down to, and we can do anything in life that's if you put enough effort into it and practice. Anyway, so me saying that is that, okay, so maybe my son isn't great at biology, but he loves it and wants to try it. I'm like, of course, well, it just means you might have to work a little harder. If you want to become a doctor, okay, like that kind of thing. He doesn't want to do that.
I always say there has to be someone in, whether it's my immediate or extended family, that there's a doctor somewhere. So I have a cousin who now is in the medical field. So I'm like, okay, well, we can at least call her. My uncle's a doctor. And so we're like, okay, we at least got one.
Yeah. Just have some knowledge. But I mean, really, you just Dr. Google.
I know.
So that was one thing that I did. I felt like that I wanted to make sure that they had someone to bounce off ideas to help them figure out where they could possibly thrive and have a career. And looking at schools, what kind of schools did they want? Did you want a big school or a city school? Both of my kids wanted to be in schools that were in a city, like University of South Carolina, we're in Columbia type stuff, or College of Charleston, versus Virginia Tech, which is just out there in the mountains, which is beautiful, but then it's just a small town and then there's nothing around it.
Yeah.
So what's the difference? Do you want even want a smaller private school? So we went through all that, did all those tours, and then you apply. And it doesn't, it's once you need this, by the time your kids are doing this information is going to be totally useless. But you do this college, I forget what it's called, College App, Common App. Oh yeah, the Common App. And then you upload your information and you can just go to a school and fill out a few things, pay your $65 and apply. Like that's why it's so hard, why schools look so competitive, is because it's so easy to apply. So there's more kids applying, but they only have 2,000 spots, but then 20,000 kids apply, and versus when I applied and they had a piece of paper in the mail and
so they don't have to do like a whole essay.
Oh no, they do. There's an essay.
Okay.
Oh no, that's right now.
So it's just the process.
Yeah,
is what's a little easier using.
Well, it is. Just think about when you apply for a job on LinkedIn. You see a job and it's like, oh, send your resume. It's click, 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 click. It's a little like that. Anyway, so my suggestion to them was to just why not just throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. So that's it.
Is that how you do? So I live by that method of, I'm like, is it done? I don't know. Throw it on the wall. And Rob was like,
I have done that, like, just metaphorically.
I've literally done it. I'll be cooking and like, I think we were first getting together, or maybe we were first married.
Oh my God.
I said something about like, is it done? Or he asked if it was done. I was like, I don't know. Throw it on the wall. He was like, what? So we threw spaghetti on the wall.
All right. I was like, don't do it literally, but I
don't do it every time. But I can say I've done it. So it's funny when I hear that, I'm like, oh, you do it too?
Oh my gosh.
Great.
You're so cute.
So how involved did you have to be in that process of, taking them, doing the applications?
Well, I had to take them on the tours. But the applications, they really needed to, because it's becoming an adult, they need to take responsibility for that. I was there when they had questions, but they had to do all of the work.
Mm-hmm.
You go from being the driver to the co-pilot to backseat driver. That's how I kind of envisioned. Even when so you're driving in the car right now. So kids are in the back seat. As they get older, like your spot moves in the car. Like you're driving, and then you move over. And then they're driving, and you're just helping them. And then all of a sudden, then you're in the back seat because they're driving the car, and then you're not even in the car anymore because they're just driving their whole life. Like you're done.
That seems scary, but
I
fun.
just keeps winning. Why scary?
My life is in their hands. They're literally driving.
Oh yeah. Well, because I remember when the kids were in kindergarten, and I was talking to their mom. She's like, "Oh yeah, well they ride that." We're living in DC, and like, "Oh, they ride the metro to high school." And I was like, oh, I can't even imagine sending my kid in the metro. But I was thinking of my cute little 5-year-old like on the metro, and not a 16-year-old. Yeah, 16, 17-year-old going. Of course they can handle it. But you're probably thinking the same thing. You're like, oh no, how can a little 4-year-old be taking control of everything? They can barely brush their teeth.
And then I give them my life. So yeah, I mean, it's that perspective of you're processing you're preparing yourself. You had been preparing yourself for that moment of, all right, you're in the driver's seat now.
Yeah.
How has that been emotionally for you to now, kind of set them into the world?
Well, I think the word bittersweet just keeps coming to mind because I'm sad about it. It's always sad when the chapter of your life is over that you enjoyed, but there's just new things to come. I know I have a lot of mixed emotions about it, really. I think that's why bittersweet comes to me, because it's like it's just but I'm mostly excited. I'm just so excited for what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And all the stuff they're going to experience and get to see. And finally, they talk about being in high school and, oh, I can't stand it. I can't, I'm tired of hanging out with these people, or because it's a smaller school and so forth. And because it's small, and what it was like in high school. You're just in this box, right? But when you get to be an adult, you don't want to work at that company anymore. You find a new job. Mm-hmm. You can just do what you want. But you're in high school, you're stuck. Like you're doing what you're told, where you should be, blah, 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 blah. So, and that's what I keep telling them. Like when you're in college, you're going to see how your whole life becomes your decisions. You decide where you want to live. You don't want to live with that roommate. You don't live with that roommate. You want to drop that class. You drop that class.
Yeah. I mean, the sky's the limit. And
yeah, like everything, the world is your oyster. That expression, like they can just, it's the whole thing. And all their decision making is open up to them. And that's scary too.
Yeah. How did you had mentioned something about kind of going back a little bit of the emotions and how to manage those. And you had said something about, go and lift weights. So now, do both your kids, did they get into exercise all along, or when did exercise kind of enter into their life?
Well, I wanted them just to be active, doing anything. And when they're little, I mean, they would run around and hang out with their friends. And, I'd have them in, I don't even remember. Oh, they were in cross country and track and field hockey. I'm trying to remember elementary school. Middle school, it was the same. And then high school, they really weren't team sport types of kids. So then Delaney moved into dance. And then with Harrison, he started coming to CrossFit with me because it was 2020. So it was COVID. They went back to school, but they didn't have any after school stuff. So he would come to CrossFit with me, and then he found the Olympic weightlifting and then just blossomed through that, loves it, and then that's even opened his eyes of playing tennis and doing like all kinds of stuff, like random things he's trying now, baseball. Okay, great, go for it, whatever. And then after Delaney finished with dance, I guess it was junior year, she started coming to CrossFit with me too. Yeah, so what I've tried to instill in them, because it's important to me, is that movement. The reason I go to work out, or I used to run all the time, was for my mental health. and it gave me space, and I just felt better about the world, about anything. And then especially our gym, it's totally social too, to see friends and so forth.
I don't know how many times the coaches have been like, "Are you gonna work out?" I'm like, "Wait, sorry, I'm here."
Yeah.
I'm here.
So I think with every kid, like I said, I recognize that my kids didn't really enjoy the team sport stuff as much. It just wasn't whatever. So it's recognizing your kid and then trying to help them find something that they can do that brings them joy, that they feel better about. I mean, so this is funny. So I loved field hockey. Loved it.
I played too.
Yeah. So I wanted Delaney to play. So then come on, we're going to play field hockey. This is maybe 3rd or 4th grade. She got there, and then I put her on a club team. Oh my God. So I think she played for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. No, maybe not even that long. I don't know. But she hated it. She was miserable. But I kept saying, like, oh, come on, you're not a quitter. Come on.
You're going to love this.
You're going to love it one day.
3 years later.
That was bad. That was a mistake on my part. I should have listened to her and figured something else out. But at that point, she didn't want to do dance. So I thought, well, all right, I need to, you have to do something.
So how did you figure, I mean, because how many seasons did she say, I don't like it, until you finally were like, all right, this season's done, we're not going next year?
Gosh, I'm trying to think. So it was 4th grade, 5th grade, and then COVID got all messed up. So it might have been 3 years. And then COVID ended it anyway, but then I think she stopped. So 3 years maybe. But in the beginning, like 3rd and 4th grade, she thought it was fun. I mean, she didn't hate it. It was once you get older, it gets more serious and serious and serious. And then especially when you're in club teams, it's really serious.
So like it was a little more intense.
Yeah. And some of the other girls were really intense and they wanted to be, D1 field hockey and college. And it's just not like, for us, it was like, so it was always, I want you to have something to do to move your body. I want you to be part of a team, to support other kids, to be active after school, not just sitting around. So I just wanted to be the social part of it too. I was trying to hit all those boxes by doing something. Like, well, you got to do something. So then let's pick something else.
Did you notice any shift at home when they got into CrossFit or when they got into weightlifting on the emotional side?
Well, that's a good question. I think not quite at first, but now looking back that I have it's been a couple of years, I can see reflecting upon it. I think it was a little challenging it's hard to go to a CrossFit class as a kid because they're all adults. So not only you're not around your peers, first of all, CrossFit is, when you walk in the first time, it is intimidating to anybody. So imagine being a teenager with all adults and how uncomfortable it was. So I know with my daughter, she's finally, I believe that she's come into her own after, 6 months of being there, and she has her own friends, and she doesn't like it when I come to that 4 p.m. class. It's her group of people.
It's her class now.
Yeah. They're her people. I'm like, ugh. So I have to not go to that class. But I would say that I think there's still the emotion at home because there's still so many stressors in anyone's life. Everybody's stressed over something. And I think it's still there. It might have helped a little, but I think what it's done is giving them a broader perspective on life of, if I apply myself, I can do something. I can do hard things. I can talk to adults. I can learn new things. I think that has been really important. I think that was a huge nugget of it all. No, I don't know. My daughter was just freaking out over something the other day, so it's always going to be there. That.
Well, I think emotions are probably, they're always going to be there for all of us, even as adults, but we find our outlet.
Yeah.
To be able to okay, I'm going to go to yoga. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go on a run. I'm going to go read a book.
Yeah.
Whatever your outlet is, I think it's just finding that. And I think it's so important for kids because, for us, our kids are growing up. With me, I'm 30, I'll be 34 at the end of this month. And my kids won't know a life without technology.
I know. It's so quiet, crazy.
I got a cell phone freshman year in high school. So, I at least went that long. And then my parents, had a cell phone right around that. But growing up, I didn't look at my parents and see them staring at a phone. Mm-hmm. Like my kids 100% will see that. I do my best to try to put it down. But for your kids, I mean, they experienced some of that too, right? I mean, at what point, like when you think about technology and you've seen them now 18 years into now we have everything accessible to us. Do you feel like technology affected anything as they kind of like were growing up? Like
100%.
Because the thing now
100%.
is we don't do screen time, or we try to limit screen time. Like that is the pressure that I know that as a mother now is always, what are you feeding your kid and what's the screen time look like? Mm-hmm. So how has that, if at all, has that affected you at all?
Well, I knew because I was in the tech industry. This was years ago. So I was always keyed into what was happening. And I remember when my kids were, they were born in 2007. So it was probably like 2010 that I remember hearing that the people, adult parents in Silicon Valley who work for Apple and so forth, did not give their kids any technology. So if the people making the phones and all the technology knew, so to me, what that signified was that they knew that they were harmful to the mental health of humans, especially young humans whose brains are not fully developed. I knew that, and then I knew when when Facebook came on the scene, and I even recognized in myself, I'm like, oh, I don't like how I feel when I see something like that. And then as time has gone on, I was in the media industry, so I knew the whole background of it and how it all worked. And I thought, I didn't really like this. So I knew of the detrimental effects of all of that. So I was particular about giving the kids a phone. And then if I did give them a phone, there's an expression that I remember I heard this when my kids were little, is that you cannot childproof the world. You have to world-proof your child. So when it came to social media and phones, I said, okay, this is what happens. You're going to feel like this. You're going to do this. And I was trying to teach them how to be safe. First of all, to be safe online, what they can and can't see. And then things that they do see, how it might make them feel. And do we need to talk about that?
Yeah. I know there are so many apps now, especially when, think about giving our kids phones. I know of an app that a coworker uses with his kids. I mean, it goes down to the T of not only just like locations or things like that, but it will link up to the car and tell you like if they're braking too hard, if they are speeding.
Life 360?
Yes.
Yeah, I have Life 360.
Yeah. Do you like it?
Well, I didn't think I was ever, this is so funny. So I just thought, oh no, I trust my kids. But then when I started driving, you did it in the beginning because I wanted to know that they got to school okay. Then I don't pay the premium now, so I can't see. All it says is like risky, but it'll say like risky drive. But they could have been on the bus going to a cross country meet. But the app doesn't know you're on the bus. It just thinks you're in a car, so it could be a bus is shaking around. Who knows? Risky drive. Yeah. No, but it's just nice to know where they are. I never thought I would do that, but
now, how did they feel about? Like, were you honest with them when you gave them a phone and you said, hey, here's your phone, I'm tracking
you know what the deal is? Because it's set up as a family, then they can see where I am. So it goes both ways. So then they'll know, like when we were at the holiday party that night, I didn't get home till whatever time it was, and Delaney was like tracking me on Life 360.
Mom, are you okay? It's like 1:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
So your kids were okay knowing that they were being tracked and that it kind of was a mutual.
Yes.
You that can track you.
Yeah. They're, I remember if they push back, they may push back for a split second, but then I think it kind of makes them feel a little better knowing that there's a little, like a guardian angel looking over them, making sure they're there. I don't know.
That's a sweet way of putting it.
Yeah. So it's just another set of eyes on you knowing. And I'm not crazy. I don't track and then, it's Saturday night and you're not home and it's 8:00. Where have you been? Kind of thing. It's, there's a trust that they've had to earn. And we've had a lot of, there's just, just teenagers. They do a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any crazy stories that you would share of, like, to have they ever broken your trust where you had to then rebuild it?
Yes. Yes. And that's taken a long time because it was something with one of them. And then I guess it was maybe sophomore year. Yeah. And it's probably been in the last, probably took like 2 years. And it wasn't that I didn't trust them. It was, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, look, I don't know. I don't know how many times I used to say, I'm going to so-and-so's house. And then I'd be at college. I'd be at JMU. And people, and I was a freshman. This is, I'm thinking about it. I was a freshman in high school. And I went to JMU. And like, they'd be like, what are you? I'm like, I'm a freshman. And so they're just thinking, oh, a freshman in college.
You were 14.
And I was 14.
Okay, I didn't do that.
But my parents didn't know. And we used to, because like house phones, right? Call me when you get A, B, and C. So,
yeah.
So then what we would do is I would have my brother at home. And so then I would call when I got to Caitlin's house and I would say, hey, Dad, I'm at Caitlin's house, because caller ID became the worst thing ever because now I can see that you're calling
from that number.
So fine, check in at Caitlin's house. But Caitlin's mom thought that we're staying there. So then what we would have to do is I would call my brother and I'd say, hey, can you call Caitlin's house? So then he's on a 3-way call calling Caitlin's mom.
That's so devious.
But then all of a sudden, my dad gets on the phone. He's like, hello? I'm like, oh, shit, that hang up the phone. That hang up the phone. So there was like problems that happened. Right. But we all kind of snuck out and we did those things. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I got caught with like a bottle of vodka.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that was really hard for my parents to then figure out, right? Because they wanted the truth. And then however they came back from that, I don't know. But now I'm in their shoes. But you know, when you think about those situations, like, how do you build the trust back?
Oof. I think time. And when this incident happened, or any of that stuff happened, and probably with your parents and my parents too, they're trying to help you maneuver through these situations so that you're safe, so that you're not in a car with somebody who's drunk, or you're not in a situation where you can be sexually assaulted or things like that. So I think about with my kids, I just didn't want them to get into any trouble, like just to be safe, right? So then I think this incident that I'm thinking of in my head, it was about teaching my child how to make it's decision making and to start thinking like an adult. I'm like, does that seem like a smart idea? And trusting your instincts also. Mm-hmm. Feeling like, what is your gut saying about, should I get in that car? Let's not do that. That sounds like a really stupid idea. Like, it's just because they don't have that ability to process all that and to think it all through. So I took it as, and I'm sure you do too, things like that happen, that I try to take it then as a teaching moment. Okay, so that happened, you're punished, but now here's how we're going to get better and not do this again, and teach you something from it and learn from it. You're going to learn from it.
Mm-hmm. And I know what punishment looks like to a 4-year-old. What does punishment look like for a high schooler who breaks the rules?
I mean, they can't drive. You take their car away. There's no, they hardly really go out anymore, because when I was that age, the only time you would have any social was with you had to leave, right? That's why so many kids don't care about driving, is because it's so easy to be at home and be social on your phone and not having to go anywhere. Mm-hmm. But for me, if I wanted to see my friends, I had to go and I had to drive myself. So I don't know. I think it's been, I lost my train of thought. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, because it's hard, because I think you think about your method of teaching them, but then you want them, like, what is the natural consequence of you do this? This is going to happen. But like, like you said, the driving, can you take it away? All right. You can just take me for it.
I was about to. So it's not only do I take away, but then they have to do something else. And I can't remember what it was that I had my son do that I said, okay, now you have to. So he was punished. So I took something away, but then I added something on. Like he had to, I don't know, volunteer at the church for 3 Sundays. Or it was something that it was something else. I can't remember what I did, but I thought it was so brilliant at the time.
I love how we always, like, I feel like this is the best idea. Like, this is for sure going to like make them turn the corner.
I'm so good at this job.
Yeah. Like, who? I mean, I look now and I'm like, who let me be a mom? Like, I have to take care of humans. Like, I'm responsible for keeping these lives well. And
humans have been doing it for millennia, and it's been all right. It's worked out all right.
And that's what everyone says, right? I'm okay. I mean, we're fine, but things are evolving, and to even see where where you have been with your kids to now even technology, do you feel like, whoa, this has really changed? Because I can't even imagine
what's going to be when our kids are parents, right? Yeah.
I mean, we always joke about like flying cars.
Yeah.
I don't know how to joke, and so what does that look like and what's the impact on them? And then you kind of feel like a crazy mom when you're like, we don't do screen time, or like, it's very forced it's intentional because we know that they need to get outside, they need to move, they need to do these things.
Right.
It makes our lives harder. It's like, I wish there was a time where like it just wasn't there, because it is so, we're addicted to those things, and our kids are going to be addicted to the cell phone, and because it's all around us. Right. I mean, a lot of schools are getting rid of, books and and the phones. Yeah, well, and the phones in the school. But there's a lot of things that then require you, if you're going to do something, school from home. Well,
it's interesting. So my daughter said to me, I've noticed, and she's noticed this too, this trend, because my kids are Gen Zers, is that the old digital cameras are coming back. Of course I threw mine away. I probably had 3 of them, but they love the film. They love film.
Yeah.
There are kids getting rid of their smartphones and just having flip phones now.
I saw that.
Because they recognize that technology isn't 100% great.
Mm-hmm.
And they're pushing back on that. And my daughter said, this is what she believes, that when they become parents, that they're going to be no screen time, because they know the detrimental effects of it, that everything's going to be flip-flopped around. That generation's had the experience of technology and then is going to not have their kids go anywhere near it.
So you think, or your daughter feels
it's a refreshing way to think about that, right?
Yeah.
To think that we could ever go back. I don't think we would ever go back, but just in a way that it becomes so not commonplace to always be in our phones.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody always being on their phones.
Well, I'm really not great at math, but when I think about the generation, right?
You're a millennial.
I'm an Eminer. But I'm thinking about phones, but we are the first kind of generation to have phones for like our kids their whole life.
Right.
So the education, the science, the research, all that is going to eventually come out just like other things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure when you look into diet, I ate too many TV dinners to even count, but there was no stigma around, oh, well, TV dinners are bad, or you shouldn't.
Oh, so you're saying there's a stigma with you're feeling as a mom of young ones that you can't, no screen time. So
thinking through, I mean, what now, the older, think 10 years when your kids are going to be parents, like they're going to have so much more information on the effects.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's
like more and more is coming on already. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's great that she can think like that. I don't think that many kids are probably thinking like, oh, well, I'm not going to let my kids do this. When I get older, I'm not going to have them do screen time.
But so are you aware that there's a direct, the anxiety that is shown in teenagers, boys and girls, there's a direct correlation from the time the smartphone came on the scene in 2012. If you look at all the graphs and studies, what that phone does, and I don't even talk about social media, it's just the phone in general. It messes with their mental health, and it's even rewiring their brains, how they even think, how they communicate. It's different than we were, because we were no phones, right? Until you were 14, you said. So their brains are even developing differently. So I don't know. So maybe with your kids, and yes, they've had a phone in their hands since they were born, and then maybe it may be rewiring their brain, but maybe it's rewiring in a better way, and we all think it's bad because that's not how we had it. I don't know. Do they think that in the late 1800s, when it was the whole Industrial Revolution, everybody was coming off the farms and working in the factory? I mean, I don't know. I think it's human progress. I don't know. I think you have to decide what you feel is best for your kid, and what you think is maybe too much screen time, because they really do need to be active, and they all need to be active, but maybe your kid can sit on it's relaxing for that kid for a half hour to do that, but then they can put it down and move on.
Right.
I think it's parenting every kid to their own unique needs.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's funny because you think like, oh, I'm going to give my kid the TV and you're going to get X amount done. My kid is like, are you going to sit down and watch TV with me?
Oh, so it's not even time to.
And so then you almost feel bad, because you're like, hey, buddy, you're going to have to watch TV by yourself, so mommy can do dishes, or so, daddy and mommy, we got to do something. So it's really funny to like, you think you get, and then he'll get into it. He's a big Power Rangers fan right now. So I'm like excited. We're going to do a Power Rangers birthday party, and we're going to bring all that back.
Yeah, because he's turning 4 soon, right?
Yeah. Do you miss did you guys do themes?
Yes.
For birthdays?
Oh, I was a great. So one of my other jobs that I thought about doing was an event planner too. I was like, oh, I'm so good at this again. And then I realized, oh, you just work every weekend. I'm like, no, it's not for me. But no, I did themes. They're the one time, I think it was their 5th birthday. It was Cat in the Hat. And I had a big Cat in the Hat bounce house, and I even had this actor. She dressed up as
Whoa, you went all out.
Yeah. It was quite something.
So how were birthdays with twins though? Because I mean, at first, is it just like, okay, you both get the same theme?
We did. And then I think I started doing separate birthday parties when they were maybe 7.
Is that because they wanted different themes, or because they have different friends, or
all of the above? And then I had to stop being cheap and give them 2 parties. Yeah, because Harris and his friends wanted to go to Dave and Buster's, and then Delaney wanted to have a tie-dye party. I remember that was their 9th birthday, maybe something like that. Yeah, so different. Yeah,
so totally different days. It's like, this is your birthday.
Totally different days. Yeah, and I think I even did it that one kid. I would flip-flop it every year. That maybe for Delaney, her party was on their actual birthday, and then the next year it was Harrison's turn.
So they had to share.
Yeah. Oh, I tried. I don't know. You know what else I learned is that everybody leaves childhood. We all leave with something that we felt, did we discount our parents, or they didn't do this, I like this, I don't have this. It's how we view the world. It's almost like your kryptonite. And no matter what, when I realized, because I was trying so hard to do everything perfectly and make sure they didn't leave childhood wounded in some way, but then I realized that everybody leaves wounded. So I'm like, it's just grist for the mill for their therapist.
Well, and you said it though, we all try our best.
Everybody tries their best.
But your intentions are perceived how you internally, kind of work through those, and you're like, oh, well, I did this, like this would be great.
And that was totally, that was wrong of me. I should have done exactly what I told you to do. Every child, you look at every child and what their needs were, but I told you, I've done a lot of things wrong.
But when but it's trial and error. I mean, what is wrong? I wouldn't say wrong is the right word. I mean, we maybe do something and it doesn't work, and then you have to kind of regroup, and then figure something out. I mean, this is the first time I think about like every moment, every new phase. Like, this is the first time I have experienced this with this person.
Right.
So you have to then learn each phase with them. So, I mean, giving us grace, which is really hard when you're in the trenches of any phase, to say, well, I should have done this differently. Well, you don't know. You're in that moment, like figuring it out. And with twins,
and forgetting that this is what our kids don't recognize, because they just see you as mom and dad. They don't recognize that you're a human who has your own needs and has your own emotions and your own disappointments and your own hopes. But to them, you're just, your mom.
We're their world. Until they start to then identify their own. And I always hated when my parents or my mom would always say, wait till you're a mom.
Why did you hate that?
Because I'm like, this is bullshit. I know what it's like. Like, you don't know anything. And I laugh all the time. I'm like, I can't wait for my kids to say, you don't know anything.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I do. I really do. I've lived X amount of time.
I've used that line too. I'm like, well, no, I said to the kid, they're little. I'm like, well, how old are you? Like 9. Okay. So do you think you know more than your cousin who's 4? Yeah. I said, okay, well, I'm blah, blah, blah. So don't you think I know a lot more than you little 9-year-old?
I really didn't think I would have to negotiate.
Oh no, all the time.
As much as I do. I mean, sometimes I'm like, I feel like I'm negotiating. Like Rob the other night came out of the room. I'm like, oh, is he down? He was like, no, he wants grapes. I was like, you negotiated with a terrorist?
I know exactly.
And you gave in to the grapes? And he was like, he just asked for a couple. And then you get in there and he goes, how many do you have? And I was like, I got a lot. He's like, is there 10? And so he's in there counting to the, I'm like, what is life right now? Like, what is going on? And then you sit down and you look, and then you can reflect. It's all about reflecting back and being like, oh my gosh, that was hilarious. And you,
so does he really want the grapes, or he just wants Rob to come back in? I imagine he just wants one of his parents to come back in.
Yeah, a little bit of both. He'll say, my tummy is saying I want a snack.
He's so cute.
But it's the knowing that what we do in the moment most of the times is with the right intention. I mean, we're doing what we think is best with the resources that we have. Again, another reason why I'm really excited to keep bringing moms on, to hear about things that are happening through, their experiences, to say, wow, I never really thought about asking that question, or I didn't really think about doing something that way. How do you handle X, Y, and Z? And kind of just hearing, because I only know my lived experience, which is very small scale of what there is to life out there. So thinking about, because your only reality is twins, can you think of a time or your most cherished moment with twins?
Oh, so something, I think I was doing a meditation the other day, and it was, I think one of the suggestions was to think of something where you felt complete joy. And I remember when they were little and we would snuggle in bed, and one would be on one side, one would be on the other. And I just loved their little sweet, when they'd have their little teddy bears with them, and they'd be in their sweet little voices. And what they felt like, what they smelled like, what they sounded like, all of that. And everything was just safe and good and pure and love. That's probably something that I can actually harken back to and feel it. But there's lots of little happy things, when they, their birthdays, or I don't know, it's all jumbled up in my head.
Is there a time, because I, again, there is so many oh shit moments that I feel like I've had with I have 2, but I don't have 2 in the same stage at the same time. Can you think about a time where you were I don't know what to do. I have 2 humans. How do I do?
So it's funny. So, well, it's interesting. So when you were saying about how you're learning it, It's one thing that I always thought I was a disadvantage with. So I have 2 kids, and I would go through every stage and it'd be a new stage for me. And then I had no way to use the knowledge later on, which you do.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be super frustrating. Even when they were little, I would say they were 18 months old. I'm like, okay, we got the walking down. We're doing this. The sleeping's good. And all of a sudden we're on the new stage. I'm like, what the fuck? This is our new reality. And I got to figure it out. And it was just, you just got to regroup and you figure it out. Yeah. Oh yeah. It was really hard when they're little, because all those little, because they change so much, from 0 to 5, there's so much growth that happens. Yeah. I would say that's a pretty consistent theme that I'm like, oh God, here we go. Now I got to figure that out. Everything, even the college stuff. Okay. Well, how do I go about doing all these tours? What tours do I do first? Or And that's when I go to, I love that you're doing this podcast, because that's when I would go use your resources. I'd ask other parents who've been through it. Well, what did you do? Tell me what you did. How did you make it easier? Et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Now, were the resources helpful or overwhelming?
Well, just like when anyone asks for your advice, you then you give advice and you decide what nuggets you're going to take and what you're going to throw out in the trash. So some of that was helpful, and some of it I'm like, yeah, that's how you did it, but you're whack.
So did you learn figuring out how you asked something? So maybe it wasn't, because you kind of know if you want advice or not, right? Like in a situation, or is it you asked it, they gave it, and you're like, well, it's actually trash. I didn't really want your advice. I just maybe.
Well, I don't ask for it if I don't want it. That's how I communicate. And if they give it to me and then maybe it doesn't sit well with me, then if I'm able to, then I might say, okay, why am I bothered by that? What am I missing? Because usually something that's you're bothered by or uncomfortable about is because it's trying to tell you something that you're not seeing it. It's a blind spot. I can't think of anything and give you a specific example at the moment, but I usually ask, and I'll ask a specific question though. So today, I just asked someone at the gym, I said, well, what did you do about your 529 plans? How did you get the money out? Because I need to go back to my financial advisor about it. So just how did they handle it? What did they do with any of the leftover? But they had other kids, so they could then roll it over to their kid. Well, I can't do that. Anyway, so there's just things like that. But I took whatever advice that was helpful to me, and then the rest, it just wasn't applicable. It just didn't apply to my situation.
Right. And I guess sometimes you don't really know until they give you the information. You're like, okay, that little tidbit is helpful. The other piece, is just their experience.
It's just their experience, and I can't use it in my life.
So, thinking about where we are now, kids are coming to an end with school. They're going to start their transition. Would you say you're starting your transition?
Yeah.
And what is your transition going to look like for you?
Oh, well, I finally want to get this life coaching business going, where I'm not distracted by just life, college tours, this, that, and the other. I just need chunks of time. I don't know, just that right now. I told you I want to go camping. And I want to be hiking more and just exploring, doing things for me that I want to do, because for the past 20 years, it hasn't been about me at all.
And how have you, if at all, found time for yourself over
20 years?
Yeah.
Well, I've been blessed that I didn't have to work full time. So that's been helpful to me. So then I always carved out time for running, yoga, and then became CrossFit. And I recognized that even though any jobs that I had or contracts and so forth, that the working out, because this was important to me, that working out in the gym was non-negotiable. So when it was on a block in my calendar, it wasn't moved at all. Everything else could be moved around, because I knew what would happen was that, okay, well, I'm going to 10:30 class, and then if someone wants to meet, and okay, well, I can't go at 10:30. Oh, now I can't go that day. Now I can't go that day, because everything else gets bumped around. But it's for me, I decide that whatever that is for you, and I suggest is for anybody else, is to take one thing that you really enjoy doing that rejuvenates you, and then it becomes a non-negotiable time. Nothing takes it away unless it's something big, like somebody's sick or something like that. But otherwise, no, everything else has to float around that, be moved around.
I like that. Because if not, then everything else starts to...
A friend told me the other day, I heard what did he say? He said, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah.
So finding time for yourself is really important. So that should not, and as mothers, we do that. It's everybody else's. Oh, okay, I have to do this. This person needs this one needs this, work needs this. Blah, 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 in-laws need this, you got to do that. And before you know it, there's literally there's no time for you. And we have to be very proactive about making time for ourselves.
Yeah. Well, I think it's easy to think about everything else other than you.
That's interesting.
At least for me, my mind is always going everywhere else because I want to be the best mom. I want to be the best wife. That one feels like the hardest. While the kids are really young, I think working really, really hard. But it's hard when you don't have time.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to be the best wife you can be, trying to be the best worker, because I'm working full time, trying to be the best friend, trying to do all these other things that in some piece fill my cup. But then there's also like the physical piece of actually saying like, okay, well, now that I've done the grocery shopping, I've done all these things, I've done like, oh my gosh, it's the end of the day, or like, here we go, here's Monday again, we haven't done all these things. Mm-hmm. And, you're trying to keep up with everything. Everything is always so fast. It feels very fast. And so this year trying to figure out, at least for me, how do you slow it down? The time isn't going to slow down, but how, and I haven't gotten the answer yet, but how to slow something down to be able to fit me time in. And then the gym is for me, I try to find like you said, I have a time.
Yeah, that's your time.
I try to get there at, X amount of time. But if I don't make it, then it's gone because I do an afternoon class. So it's like, I don't even have time to recuperate, the time, because then it's daycare, this, that.
Yeah.
So, being able to have that for yourself is really important. But now you'll have so much free time now that the kids, because are they going to go out of state?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to, does it feel like a new identity? Does it just feel like?
Totally feels like a new identity.
Okay.
Yeah. It's really exciting. It's fun.
What do you, other than camp? So camping is a goal. And I'm going to follow back up with you.
I know, but I feel like I need somebody. I need to find some so Harrison has a friend who's an Eagle Scout. I'm like, I think I just need to pay this kid to come for a weekend and, I don't know, teach me how to do this because I don't know what I'm doing.
What is like the top thing you're like that is intimidating you? Like, why haven't you gone camping before? Is it something that
no idea how to do it? I don't know how to make a fire. I don't know. I don't know how to pitch a tent. Like, I literally know how to do nothing.
Okay. So should we just start practicing? We'll just bring a tent, right? And then for time, I'll just see if you can put the tent up by yourself.
Sure. What do I just have a sleeping bag? Do I need an air mattress? I don't know.
So you need the whole checklist.
I don't know.
Yeah, you definitely want a sleeping bag. Luckily,
what kind of sleeping bag?
Well,
do I need a pillow? So then what
do you need? No. Should you? Maybe. I mean, some people.
What food do I bring? I don't know. How do I hide air mattress? I mean, it's like all this stuff.
That's real. Those are real questions. So it sounds like you have to do your research. Luckily, it's 2025 and you can find all that stuff on Google. But
it's just so much. I'd rather have someone just show me instead of reading. I don't know. That's why I just want to have someone just show me how to do it once and I'm good.
Do you want the kids to go with you on camping?
Sure. Because I also want to go hiking. And that's really fun now that they're at it. We talk about, camping. There's something that Harrison asked me to do the other day. I can't remember what it was. It wasn't climb Mount Everest because I'm not going to do that. I can't remember what it was. But it's just fun because now we can do these adventures together. Adults. And yeah.
So do you guys have a family trip that you're looking forward to that you guys will all kind of do together?
Well, we're going to Germany and Italy in April.
Oh, as like a graduation?
Yeah. Their 18th birthday graduation. Yeah, they each chose a country. So Harrison wanted to see.
So this has evolved.
And then Delaney wants to.
So it went from joint birthday parties to now you get separate birthdays to now you get to pick your own country.
I guess I'm still doing it. Yeah. Well, that's true. No, that's really funny. That's really observant of you. I had not realized that. Yeah, I guess I did do that.
That's okay.
No, because then they feel they have some ownership in it. Okay, well now we're in Germany, and now Harrison speaks German fluently. I'm like, okay, well you're the one. You're going to be our tour guide because no idea.
So that's nice to have a translator.
Yeah.
We went to Costa Rica and Mexico, and my husband, has been using Duolingo for almost 2 years now. Every day he does Duolingo for Spanish, and he was able to, because you feel lost.
Yeah.
I mean, but there's also that sense of like, we're here.
It's fine.
We're going to do this as a group. So,
yeah.
Okay. So family trip in April.
Yeah.
And that's how long are you guys going?
Almost 2 weeks.
That's going to be so fun.
Yeah. Yeah. It's our spring break. Yeah. It'll be fun.
Now, are the kids bringing their cameras? Do they have cameras, or is it just the phone?
It's just their phone.
Like film and all.
Yeah. I guess. I don't know. We haven't talked about that. I don't know. I still had the camera. Lainey gets so mad at me. She'll say, why don't you keep those boots? Why don't you keep those jeans? I'm like, because they want to, I don't know. I don't like clutter. We talked about clutter. I don't want clutter. So every time I'm done with something, I'm like, ooh, get it out of my house. The things come back around. And then she's like, oh, you could be making money off that. Wow.
It's scary to see my childhood stuff coming back as like retro.
I'm like, make you feel old.
I'm like, I was born in 91 and stuff is coming back as retro.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. All right.
Yeah. Well, I think it's because we think about it, you're that age group. So you're bringing it all back for your kids.
Like it's all, I'm trying to think of like, what things do I think are cool enough to bring back? Because I'm like looking at my pictures, like none of that was cool. And then I look at teenagers' videos now. I'm like, she looks like she's 20. They look I feel like teenagers look so much older than we did.
On social?
Yeah, like than we did when we were, like I walk through.
That's probably true because they have access to all, how to put on makeup, all the makeup stuff, all the skincare, how to dress. We didn't know anything. My friends and I joke around. We're like, if someone got a magazine and then we shared it and then we could figure it out. But that was it. That was our only resource.
You see that magazine?
Yeah, we had no clue how to do anything.
Yeah. The times.
Whew. Yeah. So how's your baby girl?
She's good. She is 8 months as of yesterday. No, 2 days ago. But she got pink eye, and so then I can't take those photos because you got to take the monthly photos.
Yeah.
Was that a thing for you?
I didn't do it.
You didn't do it? Was it a thing, or it was a thing and you just didn't do it? Or?
No, it was a thing and I just didn't do it.
It's okay.
Well, maybe not quite a thing, but no, I didn't. There's some things I just couldn't be bothered with.
Mm-hmm. Scrapbooks, baby books.
Oh, I started it. Did you do it?
No, and I feel really bad.
I don't think you should feel bad over that.
They're not asking for their baby books before they leave for college. Okay.
And that's something that, you said about being the best mom, the best. So maybe, is it possible that for you to think about it and not in best terms, that you're just, mediocre's all right. Maybe it's just accepting like mediocrity. Like, all right, for now, until they're in school, till there's just till you can just catch your breath. Just embrace mediocrity.
So when do I get to catch my breath?
I don't know. We don't. No, never.
Yeah, because
I get split seconds of it, and then you're like, oof. Then something else, like someone gets pink eye, and then the dog is sick, or car problems. Just everything.
I know.
Well, I call them life speed bumps. It's because you're going about, you think about your week, and you're like, okay, I got to get this and this and this one. And then something happens that throws you a curveball, you get a flat tire, or your daughter gets pink eye. And so it shifts everything for the week. Then you can't go 100 miles an hour with your whole week because you have this something else holding you back. So it's a speed bump. It slowed you down for whatever reason. And we all just have these life speed bumps. I just had the other day that my refrigerator stopped working. So Kids are we're taking all the food out, putting it in the other fridge in the garage. And, what are you going to do?
You roll with it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's just a speed bump. So I can't. So then it slowed down. Then one of the days that I had to do this other things, I had to then wait for the refrigerator repairman to come. So then that shifted my whole. So I couldn't do 100 miles an hour this week. I can only do 80.
Mm-hmm.
Speed bump.
Yeah, I like that. Motherhood is just life with speed bumps.
Yeah, and you have
to keep. You slow down and you go.
Yeah, and the road keeps changing because they keep growing. I mean, life, nothing stays the same. If we accept that nothing is going to be the same, so they all grow up, we grew up. It's all part of life. Nothing stays the same, which is sad. But then it's okay.
It's okay to be excited for that next chapter.
Yeah. And you should feel good that you even had something to be sad over too.
Mm-hmm. That's a beautiful way of looking at it.
Yeah. If it were sunny all the time, would we appreciate the sun? Like if you leave your Christmas tree up all year, would you then think Christmas is so magical and special if it was always in the corner of your room?
Mm-hmm. I don't want that.
I don't want that either. But we have to have, there's some poem, I don't remember, that you have to have enough, I don't know, rainy days to enjoy the sunshine.
I would agree with that.
It's just how you handle it. And I think that we all, you were really encouraging about it too. I think that we all give ourselves, all of us, some grace and just parenting and motherhood and just do the best you can. Everybody's doing the best they can. And your kids are going to be fine.
Yeah. Well, you heard that, viewers. Your kids will be just fine. Well, Adrienne, thank you so much.
Oh, this was so delightful. I love chatting with you.
I know. Well, cheers to another episode down and to your next chapter.
Thank you, honey.
Thanks for coming.
All right. Thanks, Jess.
Come hang out with me on Instagram at Hustle and Healing Podcast for more real talk, laughs, and support. You can also catch the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. So be sure to subscribe, follow, and leave a review if you're loving what you hear. And do me a favor, share this episode with a fellow mom who needs to hear it. Keep hustling, keep healing, and don't forget to reheat that coffee. Again, see you next time.